New York City, autumn of 1995. The Lincoln Center glowed like a palace. Gold lights, marble floors, velvet seats, crystal chandeliers. It was the annual charity gala, an event where the wealthiest patrons of classical music gathered to congratulate themselves on their love for true art. Tuxedos, gowns, expensive perfume, egos even more expensive. What no one knew was that tonight, in this hall filled with elitism and polished manners, a moment was about to occur that would rewrite musical history. A moment involving a violin, a sneer. And Prince. Prince wasn't supposed to be there. He had been invited as a diversity guest, a pop icon meant to add modern flavor to an otherwise predictable evening. But in the classical world, some people saw him as an outsider. A commercial musician. A man who made radio songs, not serious art. One of those people was Leonard Hofmann, a celebrated violin master in his mid-60s, a man worshipped in the classical world and feared for his arrogance. When Hofmann finished his performance that night, he scanned the audience. Applause echoed. He bowed. Then his eyes landed on Prince, and his expression changed. A smirk spread across his face. Not friendly, not respectful, mocking. He leaned into the microphone. And tonight, we are honored to have a pop artist among us. Prince. The room tensed. A few nervous laughs. Perhaps he might play a pop version of Vivaldi for us. More laughter. Prince didn't react. Hofmann wasn't done. Or, perhaps we can ask him to play real music for a change. Here, he said, holding out his violin. Let's see what you can do. The hall froze. 500 eyes locked on Prince. A challenge. A humiliation. A trap. Would he refuse? Would he walk out? Would he fold? Prince stood slowly. No anger. No panic. Just calm. He walked to the stage and took the violin, and the moment he touched it, the entire night changed. To understand what happened next, you need to know something very few people knew about Prince in 1995. Behind the global fame, the sold-out arenas, the superstar image, he was fighting a war. Warner Brothers was controlling his artistic output, demanding commercial albums, setting deadlines, limiting his freedom. To Prince, music wasn't a product. It was breath. It was life. It was sacred. So he protested. In concerts, he wrote "slave" on his face. Not for attention, but for liberation. During this time, he often locked himself in Paisley Park late at night, playing music not for charts, not for fame, but for himself. And in those private hours, Prince wasn't just a pop icon. He was a student of jazz, of blues, of orchestral composition, and secretly, of the violin. He had been practicing it for years, quietly, privately, because it connected him to the fundamentals of pure sound. He knew Bach. He knew Paganini. He knew the instrument intimately, but the world didn't. While Prince battled the industry, another person also struggled with musical expectations that year. Her name was Emma Chun, a 16-year-old violin prodigy from Brooklyn. She studied at one of the toughest classical academies in New York, a place where anything outside Beethoven was considered trash. But Emma loved all music. Classical, yes, but also jazz, R&B, rock, and especially Prince. His music freed her. Where classical demanded precision, Prince taught emotion. Where the academy forced rules, Prince invited possibility. She practiced classical by day and secretly played Prince's melodies on her violin at night. Until one afternoon, her instructor walked in on her playing along to Purple Rain. He slapped his hand on her music stand. "This is garbage. Not music. Do this again, and you can leave the academy." Emma was crushed. She nearly quit. But then her family was invited to the Lincoln Center charity gala. She didn't want to go. Elitism had already suffocated her passion, but her parents insisted. She didn't know that she was walking into the most important night of her life. Part 4. The public going back to the gala. When Hofmann mocked Prince and handed him the violin, the audience held its breath before Prince could respond. A voice rose from the audience, small, shaking, but brave. "That's not fair." Everyone turned. Emma Chin stood trembling, fists clenched. Hofmann raised an eyebrow. "And who might you be?" "A violin student," she said. "And what you're doing is wrong. Music isn't a hierarchy. It's expression. What you're doing isn't art. It's arrogance." The hall exploded with whispers. Some gasped. Some applauded. Some looked furious. Hoffman glared. But before he could answer, Prince stepped forward that he didn't thank Emma. He didn't scold Hoffman, that he simply walked to the stage, calm, silent, and took the violin. The hall went silent. Part 5. The performance that stunned when Prince lifted the violin, feeling its balance, its delicacy. Beautiful instrument, he murmured. Hoffman smirked again. It's a Stradivarius from the 1700s. Worth millions. Prince nodded. I'll take care of it. He lifted the bow, took a breath, and then he began to play. Not a pop melody, not a simplified tune, but Bach, Partita No. 2, one of the hardest violin compositions ever written. And he didn't just play it well, that he played it flawlessly, controlled, precise, elegant, emotional. The audience froze. Jaw after jaw dropped. This wasn't a pop star trying. This was mastery. At Hoffman's face drained of color. Prince finished the first movement. The hall was still dead, silent. No one even breathed. Then Prince lifted the bow again. This time, he played Purple Rain on the violin, but not like the song you know. He transformed it into a classical masterpiece. Rich harmonics, double stops, ornamentation, improvisation, all blended with pure emotion. That he fused genres, that he erased boundaries, that he proved, in real time, that music wasn't a pyramid. It was a universe. Emma cried silently. The audience rose to their feet in a thunderous, uncontrollable standing ovation. Some clapped, some wept, some looked ashamed. Hoffman stood frozen. Part 6. The moment of HOI. Prince lowered the violin gently and handed it back. Thank you for letting me play, he said softly. Hoffman swallowed, his voice breaking. Where did you learn that? Prince smiled. From everywhere. Jazz, classical, soul. Music is too big to fit into one box. Hoffman's eyes watered. I was wrong, he whispered. Completely wrong. I'm sorry. The audience went still. A giant in classical music apologizing publicly? Unthinkable. Historic. Prince shook his hand. The hall erupted once more, not for the notes played, but for the humanity shown. Part 7. The girl who spoke up after the event. Prince approached Emma. You stood up for music, he said. Thank you. She could barely speak. Your music saved me, she whispered. Even when my school told me it wasn't real. Prince smiled. Then they don't understand art. Call me. He handed her a small card. Let's see what you can create. That moment shaped her life. She went on to blend classical precision with modern styles, creating a new sound, bold, fluid, genre-free. Exactly what Prince had believed in. Part 8. The AF. What happened that night echoed for decades. Classical institutions changed. They began offering jazz, world music, contemporary fusion at conservatories. Leonard Hoffman changed. He collaborated with modern musicians, recorded fusion albums, and became an advocate for openness. Emma transformed, inspired by Prince. She became a pioneer in cross-genre violin performance. Prince proved something timeless. Art does not belong to a genre. Art belongs to the soul. Part 9. The lasting elysis on Prince was challenged publicly, mocked publicly, provoked publicly, but he didn't respond with anger or insults. He responded the way true artists respond, with excellence, with grace, with mastery. That he didn't humiliate his critic. He educated him. And that night, a single performance destroyed decades of elitism and redefined how thousands viewed music. That a violin handed to him as a weapon became a tool of unity. A challenge designed to embarrass him became a lesson in humility. A moment meant to prove hierarchy instead proved humanity. Prince walked into Lincoln Center as a pop star. That he walked out as a legend.